Hey peeps, it's Tripl-L, and today I'm here to bring you a slightly different video for this channel. This time it's a video about YouTube as a whole. Maybe you guys already heard about it, but over the last couple of days, there's been this issue brewing of YouTube and the demonetization of certain videos according to some kind of rules that YouTube has been doing or enforcing. And it's been a very interesting time. A lot of people are making a lot of videos about it, but after watching a few videos myself and listening to what some people have been saying, I've kind of come to the conclusion of what's going on, and I'm just pretty much going to give my overall thoughts on the matter. Now, the gist of it is that YouTube has just gone and demonetized certain content providers' videos. The first one that I heard of was DeFranco. So I watch his channel pretty often, and he put up the video that YouTube had taken away his ability to monetize a few videos. And you know, my initial thought was, oh, they're doing this to him of all people? Like, there's a lot of other channels that thrive on what YouTube was hitting DeFranco for. Anyway, his stance on the matter was totally fair. YouTube is a business. YouTube is allowed to do whatever they want, especially when it came to terms of services. This is really all coming back to YouTube's terms of services. If they find that videos are not really meeting their terms of services, they're going to take action, and this is the way that they're doing it. There's other elements involved, such as calling a video non-advertiser friendly, and that still is kind of involved with the terms of services. Since DeFranco, I also checked out Review Tech USA's thing, and he was saying which videos of his got taken down, and then with Scares also reporting on it based on what other YouTubers were going through, I pretty much also came to the conclusion that this seems to be based on some kind of algorithm where YouTube is just searching through a video and finding any things that might suggest that the video might be potentially hazardous for an advertiser. So what this means to me is that this current system that YouTube made has all the flaws that the Content ID system has, and that could be a potentially good or bad thing depending on the person. The good thing is here that the majority of video creators could probably get away with their content if they're just careful with their titles, because it seems to be something that's based around having tags or a title with some kind of controversial word. For a lot of creators, the easy solution was to just remove these words and just resubmit to YouTube to have someone actually check out the videos and then put monetization back on them. Now, this seems like a pretty stupid system. It's a giant brush that's going over every video, and it's going to just strike a video dependent on if it meets the search algorithm's criteria. The reason I want to talk about it, though, is because this is causing a very interesting effect, and it'd be interesting to see how, like within a year, how many practices would be changed within YouTube and within YouTube content creators. And this is something that DeFranco did say as well. You're not really killing channels, but by taking away their ability to monetize certain content, you're kind of killing them because they won't be as inclined to make that content and they can't make money on it. It does raise up an interesting question of what does a YouTuber do his videos for, if it's for fun or if it is for monetary gain. But I really feel because the system itself is such a wide brush, because it's going to be picking out so many people's videos, there really can't be a person or a team of people checking every video. So I think a lot of people will continue to get away with it. But because of that, I do want to see if people are going to actually change their practices, if we're going to see different titles coming up on certain YouTubers' channels, or if they're going to use their tags differently. And it does open up a whole lot of problems when you compare other channels that don't get hit as much. So in terms of channels getting hit, I think it's interesting that the news channels, or the not official, the alternative news channels like the Young Turks and technically DeFranco, they're getting hit badly. In the Young Turks especially, they've reported that they had a lot of videos taken down. And so when you take it like that, it's a really faulty system. But it's a system, I think, ultimately, because of how faulty it is, it can be taken advantage of. And if YouTuber creators are so inclined, they can just get around it very easily. So anyway, I'm talking about this because YouTube is the medium on which I put my stuff up, and I kind of enjoy seeing these kind of changes happening, not because they're horrible or they're good, but just because I like seeing how people react to them. And how we react to them and where YouTube's going to be in a year is going to be very interesting. YouTube's a business. YouTube is a platform. I don't think YouTube is exempt from dying. I think if YouTube made enough changes that made it unfriendly towards the people that made YouTube big in the first place, I do think ultimately it will die. You know, it's just a matter of fact. It's going to happen eventually, right? Who knows? Whether or not this is the start of it, who knows? I do want to say though, the general idea behind it, at the end of the day, it's things that don't really agree with YouTube's terms of services. Because YouTube's a business, I do agree with Philip DeFranco that it ultimately does come back to whatever YouTube wants to do. And at the end of the day, think about it. It's not really a bad thing in terms of ideals, right? Because you want to make YouTube kind of friendly for everyone. But a lot of times, it's not just the content creator. It's also the commenters who say really horrible things. And then there's the whole argument of, well, there wouldn't need to be people to say these critical things if there weren't people dumb enough to receive these critical things. If there weren't people dumb enough to inspire these critical comments. And then it gets really messy at that point because YouTube is trying to go for this ideal and they clearly have an agenda behind it. They're calling it advertiser friendly. But there is like this kind of nice ideal behind it, but we don't live in an ideal world, so it makes things very mucky. So it'll be interesting to see how the channels that make a living on criticizing others are going to get through this. Now, one thing I do also want to mention, and just this will be the last thought. YouTube had gone on record that saying that this monetization thing had already been happening beforehand. And that's really what got a lot of people upset because people have been losing money without knowing. And then that's what YouTube said, that they had pretty much bumped up the notification system. Now, you could also make the argument, well, these guys didn't notice that they were losing money, so really was it that big of a deal? Yeah, it's a big deal, I guess, in terms of the business practice itself. YouTube did have a responsibility to tell creators about it, and the fact that this was still happening beforehand and then this notification system is the only thing that's changed. It's very interesting in terms of the business practice behind it. Now that's pretty much it. I'm just going to end it there. This video is pretty much just to give my thoughts on it and just give a recap of what happened. Ultimately, I think it's an interesting change and I want to see exactly how the YouTube community as a whole is going to react to it, because this might be one of those things that makes or breaks YouTube. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What do you think about this idea that your favorite creators might be potentially censored or might be pressured into censoring themselves? Do you think this is okay? Do you think it might serve to make content more friendly? I personally don't think so, because YouTube is a two-way street. It's the content creator and it's the commenters. You can't just take away power from one group and leave the other group in power, especially because commenters might end up being very vicious. Anyway, yeah, let's just end it there, and let me know your thoughts. Till next time, have a good day.